behaved today. Yeah, 8-3 now. Come on, Jay. It's past my bedtime.
Guys, I think we're live. Let me check. Yes, it's working.
Yay.
Yay.
What's up, everybody? Live on the Blue Jeans app with Krystal Buskirk.
Yes, Krystal Buskirk. Welcome to Blue Jeans Live. How are you?
Hey, good.
Excellent. For everybody watching, this Krystal was featured in our podcast going back to 2014. Let me just bring it up real quick. And it was episode number 79 entitled Anti-Hunter to Hardcore Deer Hunter, the Krystal Buskirk story. And in that, we touched on a few different topics, and I think we should probably refresh this, Krystal, as to, you can tell us a little story about how you were once an anti-hunter and how you then turned into a deer killing machine. And I'm looking at my show notes, and there's some really funny comments. Specifically, let me see where it was. The $800, 12 states, and a Nissan hatchback.
Oh yeah. I put everything in that car.
You still have the car?
Now oh yeah. I still have flesh in the little notch in the hatch in the back.
Really?
From a deer. Yeah.
Nice.
Wow. That's crazy.
I was like, oh man, there's still dried up blood in here.
Dusty, you want to tell everybody who the show is sponsored by today?
Yeah, today's live show is sponsored by Culver Scouting Cameras and Horny Buck Seed Company.
You want to show them the shirt that you're wearing? It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Thanks, Doug, for sending out a couple shirts.
Show them the sleeve, man.
Yeah, it's pretty jazzy. I like this shirt. It's got some deer tracks on the sleeve.
There it is. That's what I was talking about.
Check that out.
Love it.
Yeah.
So, Krystal, what I'd like to do tonight, if we could, is just kind of chill out and maybe recap some of the stories that we talked about back in the podcast. But I thought we should also field some questions and see what people are thinking and see if they've listened to the show, and they may have some questions specifically for you. How's that sound?
Okay. I think I'm still just as nervous this time as I was last time. Because I hate being the center of attention.
Right.
I'm sure the ultimate question is how do you go from being an anti-hunter to being a hunter now? I mean,
right.
We've been fortunate to be with you on your whole journey here of kind of your transformation into the whitetails and the wildlife, and man, I mean, you're on it. How did that
yeah.
happen? What made you decide to go from anti-hunter to a hunter?
Well, I was really educated on what conservation really was. And it's kind of like, if I'm outdoors all the time and out hiking and doing that other things, then I need to learn how to get food for myself. And if I could get it for my table, then I'm going to do it. It was very hard, very hard transition, because I hated it, absolutely hated it. When people would talk about it, I wish them to fall out of the tree stand, break a leg. I hope you trip on something.
Right.
That kind of thing. But
what
you just learn.
Where did that come from?
What caused that? What caused you to make them what caused you to make you think that you want them to fall out of the tree stand? Why was the reasoning behind that?
Because I'm a nature lover. Loved all animals. Would never kill one.
Gotcha. Okay.
That was you then, but now.
Oh yeah.
Things have changed.
Yeah, I'm a little bit more morbid now.
But you still love animals just as much as you always did. Right?
Oh yeah. Mhm.
Right.
But now I understand, like, you have to harvest a certain amount to keep the population healthy, keep their diseases down. Gene pool's wide open. It's just the way of life. It has to happen.
Yeah, it's a different kind of perspective, but it's probably more conservation efforts today than there was.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me what you're doing these days. Where are you at right now?
Right now I'm in Maryland taking care of 90-year-old Gran because she fell and fractured her hip. And so I'm her caregiver right now.
Okay.
I think we need to have Gran on live with us, Jay.
She's in her nightgown watching the O's game. She's not going to want to.
It was watching the O's games. So
yeah,
the Orioles, are they playing the Red Sox tonight?
Yeah, they're actually winning 8-3 right now. So as far as I know.
What's funny about that, Krystal, is my grandmother just turned 101 today. And
really?
I guarantee you she's watching the Red Sox game right now.
They were very poorly behaved last night.
Yeah, there's some blood between the Orioles and the Red Sox this year. It's not pretty. Not pretty at all.
No. I don't watch sports as much, but I'll watch it when it's on. Just not really into it.
Anybody that's watching, if you have some questions for Krystal about hunting or how she turned from anti-hunter to hardcore deer hunter, now's the time to ask those questions. Krystal, has your life changed since the podcast at all?
Well, yeah, I haven't been out hunting as much because the properties that I went hunting on kind of went away. So last year, I think I only got out maybe 2-3 times, and it kind of sucked because now I can only eat venison without my stomach getting tore up. And I still love game meat. It tastes amazing.
Gotcha.
But
just some issues there.
But no.
Did you say you have a hard time digesting venison?
No. Beef actually messes my stomach up. So.
Oh, beef does. Okay.
Now
beef.
In need of some venison is what she's saying.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Right on. It's amazing the nutritional value of venison versus beef as far as leaner meat. I can see where there could be some major differences that your body could handle better, or beef would be the worst of the two with the grease, and I can see where that could be a factor.
Well, it's much leaner, more protein, organic.
Yep.
You know where your food comes from.
Yeah, it's a great thing, really.
We have a question just came in. Dusty, you want to field that one?
Yeah, I'm working on it. Let me update. Mine don't seem to update like yours does. Somehow you see the question before I do, but I'm getting there.
Okay.
Oh, it's from my lovely wife. Who educated Krystal on the issues? Most influential person in her anti-hunting transformation experience. Who was that?
Actually, a friend of mine is he works for Department of Natural Resources. He's a police officer. So just talking with him and just learning all the rules and regulations and different things that need to be done. Learning kind of thing. So it was slow. It was a couple years before I really got into it, but it worked.
Once you started getting the education about disease and population control and conservation, what pushed you to go ahead and fulfill that harvest of an animal?
I didn't hear that last part.
Once you got educated, what was the determining factor that you wanted to go ahead and harvest your first animal?
I think mostly because I wanted to try to provide food for myself, put food on the table, and I guess kind of prove to myself that I could do it because everybody doubted me. But Man, that was almost 4 years ago. It's kind of hard to,
Right.
really go back
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah, I understand. And what from somebody listening to break that down. I mean, uh, just to recap here a little bit, Krystal was full blown anti-hunter and was not a part of any kind of hunting at all before she got educated, and that's okay. That's completely fine. Krystal's a human being, no different than anybody else. But once she started understanding how everything works and how the whole process is beneficial for not only for us as humans, but for the whitetail herd and the habitat and conservation. And once that was figured out, Krystal became a hunter, and it's something that, man, it was one of them. Jay held out on me. Just a little story here about Jay. He held out on me the day that we was going to talk to Krystal. He never said a word about it.
That is true. I did not key you in that was coming.
He never said a word about it, and then next thing you know, we're like getting ready to fire up Skype and talk to Krystal Buskirk, and he's like, just so you know, and I've been holding out on this. She went from anti-hunter to now killed a great buck. And I'm like, what? I was like, holy cow!
Right.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, no way, this is gonna be great. This is probably the greatest show we'll ever do, Jay. And from that, it made me think about how educating people on the whole process is very beneficial.
Right.
And that's something that there's no value to that. I mean, not saying Krystal's joined the good side or anything like that. It's not even about that. But as far as being able to educate people and help them into the transformation of being so anti and against it and not for it and having the hatred, there's no sense in that. We're not out there purposely wounding animals, and we're not out there hurting animals, or we're not out there trying to just sling our shotguns around and shoot whatever runs off. We're out there to feed ourselves and our families and friends, and it's such a blessing to be able to go out on the land and kill an organic animal. And man, it's just amazing. But
right.
Once
Well,
you go ahead.
Sorry. But once you're educated, you start to see it in person. You start to pay attention a lot more, and it makes you understand a lot more and a lot better why harvesting needs to really happen.
Right.
So it's a good thing, and I didn't understand that until about 6 years ago. So I'm happy where I am now.
Gotcha. We've got a few people joining in. We've got Jordan DeJesus. He says, how's it going, guys? What's up, Jordan? We covered Sarah's question already. We've got Brenda Gruby from Nebraska. What's up, Brenda? And Diane Richardson. Coming up on the show this weekend, we speak to Rob Richardson, who has a New Hampshire the New Hampshire Shed Hunters Club in New Hampshire. And we talk about all the things that Rob goes through to try to find sheds, the introduction of dogs. He's actually got dogs that'll find blood trails, and they live like a homestead life and very, salt of the earth kind of stuff. But Diane, as she mentions right here, she says, as a teenager, I was a member of an animal rights group. As an adult, now she hunts, raises her own meat at times, and track wounded deer for hunters. So she understands that life change. I didn't know that about Diane. She was in the studios last night. So there you go. There's another one.
Yeah, it's amazing. And it's crazy. I never would have, after talking to Rob last night, and for Diane to come forward and say that's very unique, because we're living a lifestyle now that I would have never put that with.
Right. Yeah, I did not know that. Yeah, but it's interesting I bet there are others. Krystal, have you met other people that or have you been able to change the minds of some of the anti-hunters that you might have known before and turn them into believers in the hunter conservation movements?
No.
No, not a single one.
No.
Okay.
No.
Why do you think that is? You think they're just so stuck in their ways?
I think so. It's people who I think that are major in animal rights, especially wildlife and everything. If they don't understand that, they're doing more harm than good. If they're not educated that way, and if they don't want to learn that other side of why it happens.
Right.
So
okay.
That makes sense, though. As far as if they don't know why. I guess you could be a vegetarian, and that would be a whole different scenario. But there's people that go from vegetarian to eating meat also. But to be anti-hunter, it is a lot about education. It's something that somebody told them that there are people doing the wrong thing, and they're just out there making piles of dead animals, and that's not it. That's clearly not it at all. But it's amazing that once the story come forward with Krystal, and we talked about it, that you stop and think about. And I was going to get to this earlier, and I forgot about it. But when you talk to somebody, you just never know what their outlook is on actual hunting and being in the outdoors. But it's forced me to further discuss into some things that I normally would just take for granted that they already knew, as far as the conservation education about the disease that could overwhelm things. But it's forced me, when I have a conversation with somebody that may be just a little bit against the hunting, it forces me to get a little deeper in detail. That way they are getting educated and maybe understand why we hunt.
Dusty, there was a new comment from Tom Staples. You want to read that one?
Yeah, let me refresh it here. You're getting it. You're getting it before I do. I don't know why, but
maybe that's because I'm the moderator.
That could be.
I feel left out because I can't refresh.
Oh, that's right. You don't have. You're on your phone.
I'm on my phone. I have the laptop in the other room.
Tom Staples, thanks for joining us, Tom, and great New Hampshire turkey today, along with Jay. Congratulations to both you guys for New Hampshire longbeards. But
I saw Tom today over at Morse's Sporting Goods, by the way.
Yeah, it says, hey guys. He says, Krystal, how are you dealing with family and friends that are anti-hunting? Do they respect your choice?
They do. They do now. Otherwise, I just don't pay any mind to them.
Gotcha. Have you had any grief from anybody on that, Krystal?
Yeah, but it's kind of like a lost cause. It's like, well, you have no problem eating a cow or a pig, so
Right.
what difference does it make?
Yeah, that makes sense. What about, was you a part of any groups before you become a hunter, as far as anti-group?
No.
Gotcha.
No.
I don't mean to keep hounding you questions, but it's something that I just feel like I had to ask. Where has it led you now to from anti to hunter? Where, obviously you killed a great buck, and we touched base a little bit about that. But where from when you started hunting to today, how much and where has it brought you to?
What do you mean by that?
As far as are you hunting other animals other than just whitetail, or you going after other?
I would like to, but
Gotcha.
again, it's finding the property and the people to teach you the ropes. I do collect skulls,
right,
and other bones because I carve them now with a Dremel. But other than that, other than the deer, I haven't really tried to hunt anything yet.
Gotcha.
Not yet, but I will. It's just finding the right opportunities and the right properties. So this year, I have access to 65 acres with sika deer and whitetail. So we'll see what's coming up.
Nice. Real quick, Wayne Bolton says, I'll be a shed dog.
I'm sure you're welcome anytime, Wayne. We actually reference you in the show coming up this weekend. We were comparing New Hampshire shed hunting to Ohio shed hunting, and how impressive it is that Rob is actually finding these sheds, considering the low population of whitetail.
I was talking.
I would love to find just one.
I was talking to Greg about that today. He said, "Wow, that's amazing. New Hampshire is not known for their whitetail sheds. That's for sure."
Right. So to think that you can even find one is a miracle, and Rob's finding like 40.
Right. Brenda says, "Hey from Nebraska. How you doing, Brenda? Thanks for joining us."
Somebody else had just joined in too. I'm trying to get a refresh here too. We had Daniel Preston. What's up, Daniel? How are you? Thanks for tuning in. So if anybody that's tuning in right now has just joined on the feed, we're talking to Krystal Buskirk, and I wasn't able to save it in the title here, but Krystal was featured on episode 79 of the podcast back in December of 2014. And the title of that was Anti-Hunter to Hardcore Hunter. And Krystal actually was an anti-hunter at one point. So we've been talking about that a little bit tonight and just recapping some of those points that we had discussed back then. And it is fascinating to think that people could be an anti-hunter, because I always feel like it's a divided line, and either you're on one side or on the other, and that you don't cross that line once you get there for some reason. So it's very unique to find somebody that has been on the other side of that position. And do you feel like you're at all on the anti-hunter side anymore, Krystal, or is it
No,
you all hunter?
I'm all.
Okay.
I won't ever go back to anti. I hardly even remember that side.
Okay.
Now.
There is hope. 4 years later, don't even remember. That's perfect.
Right.
Yeah.
Shout out to.
I actually don't want to remember those days.
Right. I understand, and I'm sure it was difficult. I'm sure that you was probably. To me, it seemed like that you would just be like, "Man, what was I thinking?"
Pretty much.
Was it like that?
It's pretty much that. It's like, why in the world did I not start this sooner?
Right. And that makes sense. I mean, there's so many people out there that think that we're just a bunch of, bad people and just murder and stuff, and that's not the case at all.
Right.
Oh, you actually, I care about my deer. I feed my deer minerals, corn, sweet feed. And it's not that I'm growing deer, but when I take a deer, I want my deer to taste good. I want to know it's in good health if I'm going to feed it to my family. And without me doing a nutritional program, and as far as minerals and corn and molasses and trying to keep a healthy herd there, yeah, it's organic, but if you can increase the odds of it being healthier, I mean, it's better. It's way better for me to know that my deer are healthy when I harvest them and put them in my freezer. Just like the farm that I raised to eat, I raised them to be healthy, good flavored meat, and my deer is the same way. And I think Jay can vouch for that. It's amazing how good it tastes, and that's what I want out of my deer herd. I want great meat. I want a healthy herd, and I want to be able to go in there and manage that, create a great habitat for them to call home. It's just you put in all that time and effort. Why not reap the benefits of having great meat and a great place for them to live? And it all works out in the end, and create great habitat and do some conservation projects, and it's amazing.
Krystal, do you ever get into any arguments with anti-hunters now?
No, not at all.
Kind of stick to yourself, or
Pretty much,
I found like you can't find an argument unless you're on Facebook, where
That's true.
The keyboard warriors.
That's actually true.
Wayne Bolton says, "Hey, Krystal, I'll take you shed hunting. Keep on killing, girl. Good subject, guys." Wayne's here in Ohio. Krystal, big shed hunter here in Ohio.
Cool.
Yeah, just south of me here in Ohio. But what thinking about this? Yeah, I think that Krystal, you should take and further what you've learned and teach a woman's seminar with it. Uh, have have like a dinner meeting. Logo it anti-hunter to hunter. Let me explain, and see if people wouldn't join you to have discussion about, who, why, what, when, where, and how you went through the whole process of transformation. It's an interesting subject, and I think that
Hmm.
not only females but males will benefit it also. That if you set it up in a proper manner and have people like a dinner, they come in, listen to your speech, pay for their dinner, and see that you couldn't further people's education as far as what you've learned over the years from going from where you were before to now. Just a
That'd be
thought.
kind of interesting. That's interesting.
Yeah, just
I'd
give
be
people
game.
right, and it's just a great because you've been in that scenario, you've been where they are right now, and I think there's always that mystery of people that's got this in their mind that maybe they would not necessarily go out and be killers right off the bat, but they could talk about it with somebody that's been there before to where you are now, and I think they'd be comfortable with that.
Hmm.
I
I think,
do.
yeah, I
And
think if you could just get them to go from anti to neutral, that's a win. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Agreed.
hmm
I think that somebody that's been an anti could really relate to somebody. I mean, you know how they're feeling. You understand what they're going through and you know where their mindset is. I think you could go in there and flip that switch to like Jay said, if you make them neutral and educate them, that it would be beneficial for them to be at that dinner, and when they're driving down the road and they see a guy that's loading a deer in the back of the truck, say, yeah, he's helping out, with a healthy deer herd.
hmm
It's
Well,
good.
not only that, but my whole hunt was filmed.
Right.
So that could be aired so they could see the very first time I actually took
Right.
down one.
Yeah, that was an emotional roller coaster for you.
Oh, you have no idea. I still replay that day every single day.
Right. Let's talk a little bit
Every
about that.
time I look at my mount.
Let's talk a little bit about that. And the reason I want to is because how that all got set up from going from, just a social media meeting a person to actually making the journey out. Let's touch base that and you tell a little bit of story, kind of a, fast forward version of your story of how you went from, talking to the guy and meeting up and hunting your deer.
The screen keeps on freezing up. Okay.
Gotcha.
Um,
Yeah.
well, when I first started, wanting to go hunting, I had somebody saying my on my first season saying, "Oh, I'll take you out. We'll get you your first deer." Well, let's just say that never happened. I never got to go out. So promises were broken. So when the second season came around, our outdoors, friend of mine, Aaron Jones, is who I hunted with. Well, we talked for a while, and I told him how the first season was, and told him that I was kind of um, screwed over. And he's like, "Well, I have an idea." And this started in February. He's like, "What if we bring you out here to Missouri during gun season and get you your first deer?" And it was we talked for a while, so I gained trust and everything in him, but I never physically met him. So I took the journey out there. I drove 1,200 miles from right below Baltimore to north of Kansas City. Um, and I went out there, and that's probably the best week and a half of my life.
For
Nice.
sure.
Yeah.
What
So,
what happened? What happened once you got there?
well, we got there, and well, since I drove by myself, I kind of got motion sick that Friday that I got in, the Thursday night into Friday. So we didn't get to shoot, but Saturday was opening day. So we ended up going into one of the tree stands. We didn't see anything, nothing the first day. So we came back to the house, and Sunday we went out, and we saw a 4-point limit on one side before you can take them. So we're sitting there and we saw a little button buck bedded out in front of us, and saw a 4-point come in, and raccoons and squirrels. And he's like, well, do you want to get down for a little while, take a break? I was like, no, I'm okay. And this was probably about 10:30 or so. And noon came around. It was, I think, 75 degrees and like 40-mile-an-hour. So at high noon, we saw these 2 deer run across the field on the ridge line. And I'm like, oh man, they're not going to come over here. I'm just sitting here just waiting. I'm not going to get anything. So I saw these tines shining in the bushes. And then, of course, your heart starts beating. It goes like a mile a minute. It goes into the pit of your stomach. You start shaking, get that adrenaline rush.
Right.
And I had to look through the scope because we forgot the binoculars. And I saw those just beaming, just absolutely beautiful. So we're hoping and we're wishing and we're filming. And so the doe, he was chasing a doe. So when the doe came down, we got, she slowed down and everything, and then he started just slowly walking. And I'm like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Mind you, I've never shot a 22-250 before.
Right.
Never. So that was new. So we got him into a clearing because he was behind some brush. And then he did a grunt. Aaron did a grunt. And all I remember was lining the crosshairs up on him and hearing boom as soon as we got him to stall. And I'm like, did I get him? Did I get him? Saw him run and saw like white belly up, but I wasn't sure. I was so nervous. I was shaking so bad. It's like, oh my God. That's all I could say. I couldn't say anything else. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Right.
But it was like one of those moments where you want to cry, which I did tear up. He teared up. But it's like, he was huge. Absolutely huge. It took 4 of us to get him in the back of the truck.
Wow.
Yeah. He ended up being in between well over 220 pounds. Not dressed. So when we got him back to the house, of course, we saw the pictures, the ones that I had sent you. And yeah, we dressed him up, and his dad's a taxidermist, so he took my cape and he mounted him for me. But it was like, I couldn't stop shaking for days. It was amazing. So I still had a doe tag to fill. So we went out for the next week or so, the next 5 days, and we didn't see anything, but it doesn't matter. And I told him when I got out there, I was like, I'm not leaving this stand until I get one. I'm not leaving. So I'll be out here forever if I have to. Yeah.
Nice. That's dedication right there.
Right.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So I was like, it made me feel good because I proved that I could do it, and it proved people wrong that said I couldn't do it. So I made them shut up. So now they look at me weird because now I collect body parts. But the skulls and the femurs, and because I carve them, I make them art. So
yeah, I've been
it's a little
following
bit
you
more than that.
I've been following you on a little bit of your skull work for some people that looks you're enjoying that and doing nice work.
Mhm. But it's like, it's not wasting an animal. It's showing different parts of what you can make them beautiful.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. It makes sense.
So
Billy Daw has joined the feed, by the way, guys. What's up, Billy? So if anybody has any questions for Krystal, now's the time to ask it. We're probably going to be wrapping up here shortly, getting into the half-hour mark. So any last questions, let's pin it down here now. Krystal, where can we find you if we want to connect with you? Do you have a Facebook page or anything that you share with people about your journeys?
No, just my personal one.
Okay.
Just my personal Facebook.
Gotcha. Very good. And if you want to listen to the podcast, you can go to iTunes and do a search for Big Buck Registry on iTunes, and then type in Krystal Buskirk, and it's Krystal, and Buskirk is Buskirk, and you will find it. In fact, I think if you type that into the search bar on iTunes, you'll just find it. And it's also on YouTube as well. It's really a fascinating story, and we went pretty deep in that conversation, and it's over an hour long, so definitely check that out.
Then I can send you the link for the video as well.
Exactly, that was a very good video too. So yeah, that's really good stuff.
Do you have your buck scored antler wise, Krystal?
I think we scored him not professionally, no. I think we scored him around 136 to 137 maybe.
Gotcha. That was a beautiful buck for your first one.
Yeah. He's gorgeous. I absolutely love him.
Yeah,
love him.
Absolutely.
You wouldn't happen to have any of your artwork with you, would you?
Actually, I do. I have a bear skull right out here in the living room.
Want to go grab it?
You want to hang on a second?
Yeah. We'll hang tight.
Sorry, it's getting kind of a little bit dark here.
No problem. Reason we were asking is Billy Daw said he'd like to see some of the artwork.
This is a bear skull. I don't know if the shading and everything is pretty good.
Oh wow, yeah.
But that's the bear skull that I've carved.
Oh, no kidding. What do you?
I don't know if you can
carve with?
A Dremel.
The Dremel, okay.
Yeah. So this is a bear I just got finished.
Will you add color to that, Krystal, or is it going to be just stay as a plain?
It's just going to be white. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Looks nice.
Yeah, the Marine Corps buck is going to be painted, and I did an elk. That one was painted. So I'm getting there, but this one took me about 30 hours to finish.
Wow.
Mhm.
Yeah, that work is that's a lot of detail. It takes a lot of time.
Mhm.
Very impressive.
And a lot of patience.
I'm going to screen the questions here one last time, then we'll wrap up, guys. Dusty, you want to tell everybody who Facebook Live is sponsored by this week?
Yeah, Culver Scouting Cameras and Horny Buck Seed Company.
And you want to show off your sleeve one more time?
Oh, yeah, check this out. Got some deer tracks.
Show them your guns.
Show them your guns.
Got some deer tracks on the sleeve and the Horny Buck Seed Company logo on the shirt. Thanks, Doug Kostrava, for sending us out some shirts, and Booner Max Minerals in the house too. So we're going to be putting that out on a trail camera here in Ohio, and hopefully get some big bucks on camera.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, I think that's a wrap. Krystal, thank you for joining us on Facebook Live.
Oh, you're welcome.
And I'm going to kill the broadcast here. We'll chat a little bit off air.
Yeah, thanks everybody for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys. See you next week.
Can't wait.